guys, thank you so much for joining me back on my channel. Basically this is like a bit of a different video, but I really wanted to do this because Ryan and I are going to have another baby at some point, and I'm already forgetting some of the strategies that we've used when Savannah was a baby. So like a couple of notes. I'm going to go all the way back to newborn. I personally went wrong right at the start because I was very like tunnel visioned as to how I wanted to have a baby, because I had a midwife and she was like natural, and that is the path that I wanted to go down. But at 36 weeks somebody went up at the back of myself and Ryan, and that took Savannah completely out of position, pretty much like down in the canal. She was ready to rock and roll. The very first thing I'm going to do going into my next pregnancy and going into my next labor and the whole process is to be open-minded, because anything can happen at any time. And I ended up getting induced and I ended up having a epidural C-section. So I had all three things that I really didn't want to have, but that happened. The thing that I wasn't very open-minded about was breastfeeding and being quite versatile with formula feeding and bottle feeding and all that sort of stuff. I ended up bottle feeding and formula feeding and breastfeeding. I did all of that. And that was basically, it was very hard to come to terms with at the start, but as it got on, it was actually a bloody blessing. That helped me rest. It gave Ryan flexibility to help me feed Savannah. I probably wouldn't put the pressure on myself next time. I do still want to do all of that again next time as well, only because yeah, that really did help me a lot. I'm a bit of a demon when I get woken up. As Ryan would know in the last couple of nights, because he's been waking up in coughing fits in the middle of the night, and I'm like, can you shut up? So I actually set my alarm every single time Savannah needed feeding, so that one, she didn't get upset and you know there was no like crazy like anxious sort of vibes going on. We kept it quite calm, and let me tell you, it didn't always happen the way how I wanted to. There were times when she would get into a bit of a state and we had to calm her. So to stay on top of all of her feeding, I set an alarm and fed her. In the mornings, we used to always have the same routine. So basically I would get her up and I would always give her a breastfeed. Another thing would be to prioritize your rest. Now this is really hard with a newborn or a baby or toddler, anything actually. So if you can lean on your partner and your family and your friends, that is ideal. And I used to speak throughout the day and say, hey, like I used to tell him, I'm so tired. And he would say, yep, no problems, I'll stay up, I'll play PlayStation and I'll do the last feed. I used to feed Savannah at 9:30, put her to bed about 10, and then I would go to bed and Ryan would make a formula bottle and give it to her at about 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30. Actually, because we would stay on top of that, she got used to that routine, and yeah, she never had to fret that she wasn't going to get fed. So we stuck to that routine of waking her up for about six to 8 weeks. It was tiring. It was very hard to get up sometimes, especially being a winter baby. Well, was she a winter baby? Well, going into winter, it was cold. And we also used to do that throughout the day as well. So we would never let her nap past 5:36. We were very lucky. She would sleep pretty much all night. So by the time she got to 12 weeks, we were just starting to gradually get a bit longer in our sleeps, because as the baby puts on weight, they can retain everything a lot more. So by the time we got to about 12 weeks, she was pretty much sleeping all night. So basically we'd put her to bed about 10:30 and I'd get up at like 5. I used to get up really early anyway. Sticking on the topic of routine, we have kept our routine pretty much to even right now. Routine is key to a baby. The nighttime routine, as I said, we wouldn't let her sleep past 5:30, 6 o'clock. And about 6:30 we would jump in the shower, get calm down from the day, do like dinner, I would watch TV and be together, start that, you know, that nightly routine of getting up in the middle of the night and things. So we basically have kept that pretty much the same to even right now. She still responds to that really well. We're putting her to bed between 8:30 and sometimes 10 o'clock. Last couple of nights she's been sleeping till like 8:30 in the morning, which is crazy. I get up early and I'm like, oh my god, is the baby okay? I'm gonna go check on her, and she's out like a light. Basically just jumping into some of the things that we used to use for Savannah. So I used like a proper pram for about 3 months, and then I just carried her everywhere. Obviously this is just depending on your physical health, like if you've got a bad neck or back or legs or something like that. When I went shopping, I just loved having her on me. It was so much better. I don't know, being hands-free is blissful. A rocker, you know, just one of those rockers you can put them in. Hands-free thing, this is when the baby gets a little bit older, is a jolly jumper. That was actually amazing for quite some time. We'll always find anything that they can do to get some hands-free time. And the jolly jumper was a really good one and really strengthened her up a fair bit. We used to just take her outside all the time, and this also got her to know what daytime and nighttime was. So I used to do like a daytime calm thing. I used to do tummy time throughout the day outside, and then I would also just show her what nighttime looked like. So every time when she cried, I'd take her outside. It's a really good way to calm her down and ground her. Also used was a bumbo. We actually still use the bumbo because that was really good if you want to go on like a picnic, go to the beach or anything like that. That was a really awesome seat for her to sit in. I used the bumbo while I was cooking dinner, when I was baking, all that sort of stuff, because it can just sit on the kitchen bench. Obviously a bit of a disclaimer with that one, make sure that your baby can't push the bumbo. Yeah, I was always very scared of that, but I was always right there when she was there. Also another way that she was able to be a part of what I was doing, and she would just watch me do everything. Feeding was like involved. I went through like my own like anxiety for feeding because I just always was so scared about her choking and all that sort of stuff. One thing that really helped me was daycare, because I knew that they would be starting to implement some foods for her as well. So we started off with purees, obviously. It went to the lumpy food, and then to like soft foods like bananas, like sweet potato, mash, peas, all that sort of stuff. So daycare really helps me just mentally as well, just because I know if I've got questions I can go to them and ask them, and they've been helping me. Like they've been like, yeah, she's doing really great, and they make sure that she's hitting milestones and stuff, so I feel quite relaxed. The only thing I don't like about daycare is the germs. The germs are ridiculous, but in saying that, we have kind of come up with like a bit of a strategy for that as well. So I always make sure that I've got all of these tools handy for me. So we use a Yuki Bear spray. I also use an immunity booster. I just got that from the chemist, and there's also like a runny nose one for baby and children as well. The snot sucker things is so disgusting, but I feel like it really helps her. The sprays for the nose also. So when she's even just coughing, like if I feel like she's just coughing on like some sort of phlegm, I always put the spray up her nose as well, because I feel like that runs down the back of her throat and she stops coughing. So I think that works. There's like an air purifier as well. We have only just gotten that because we've just gone into winter. And now that she's over a year old, I have now been putting like a dash of apple juice. So she literally just drinks it so much. But it's really good because if she is sick, I know that she's going to drink her water. Baby Vicks, there's like a little baby Vicks that you can also get. Always put a pillow underneath the mattress. So I used to put this underneath the protector, but my auntie said that could disrupt their neck. So put it underneath the mattress, and that just protects her neck as well. But that just means that she's a bit elevated thermometer. So we have got the thermometer that goes into the ear and does like a forehead temperature as well. When she's teething, I literally have got those little bottles still from when she was under 1. Those are amazing. If you put your finger in it and taste it, your whole mouth goes numb. So the only time we use dummies is I will put the dummy inside the Panadol and put it in. Literally calms down. And don't underestimate the power of a warm shower if they are a bit chesty and stuff. I always put her into that, and I teach her to cough. So every time she's coughing, I'm like, she just laughs at me and starts coughing. If you want to be hands-free when your baby or toddler is starting to crawl everywhere and getting a bit more mobile, walking. Look, some people are going to agree with this and some people aren't, but we have a TV in Savannah's room. The TV is amazing in her room because she's had a few weeks where she was getting up at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. seriously, like she is wired at 4 o'clock in the morning. Another thing where anxiety was very real for me was the bed sleeping situation. But the way that we just did things was, when she was obviously a newborn, putting on that alarm and waking up before her didn't give her a chance to wake up and get restless and all that sort of stuff. I was always there to wake her up. She didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't have to worry about anything. We use sleepy bags as well. The only time I use a blanket is if it's really cold. We do have wooden floors, so some of the air does come in. We do have a fan for like the summer in her room, and we do have a heater in her room as well for obviously the colder season, which is where we're at the moment. If she is sick, we do put her into the bed with us. The only thing that I do is I put her around my arm and I literally sleep like this. I'm a very still sleeper usually, and I'm a light sleeper as well. So it sort of worked. Like if I felt Ryan move, I'd always keep my hand on the back of him, and if she ever came in the middle of the night, I would wake him and say, hey, Savannah is here, so that he consciously knows that she is there. I just wanted to touch on mental health for parents as well. So daycare was a huge thing. It was good and bad at the same time. Like, so the bad part is obviously the germs and the sicknesses and things like that. But the good part is that you do get time to yourself if you need to, or you can go back to work or do whatever you need to do. It's their time away from the home as well and away from us. It's just like that reset that sometimes we need. Annual leave days for parents that are working, especially if you're going back full time, I think a mental health like sick day or annual leave day or something like that is very vital, because you're gonna need that. I know that mum guilt or dad guilt is going to definitely set in, but for our, like, the one thing that I used to always think about was, if there's no me, I can't do the things that I do. So if I have to look after myself before I can look after everybody else. For me, I had to just remember that every day is going to be different. Even though I have these structures and plans and things in place, it can be so different. Like, she can be really grumpy one day, and like it literally, like the crying baby, just, it gets, oh my god, it gets so hard sometimes. But being open-minded, having those things to reset, this is why we also need those annual leave days and sick days and the daycare. And the other thing is, it's okay to cry, because being a parent, especially a new parent, is very hard. And yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It's hard. So do cry, because yeah. And if you've got people that you can reach out to and connect with on the same level, definitely connect it to them. Prioritize your sleep. If you can have those conversations with your partner or friends or family, and you know, like ask them to come over and look after your baby while you get some sleep. And if your partner can stay up a bit later to look after Bubby so you can go to bed earlier, that's a very good deal as well. From 5 to 6 months old, I felt like I was starting to feel a little bit more better. I had a better handle on things, and I felt like baby was getting a bit better as well, a little bit more independent, feeding. Found that shift. There was like a bit of a shift where I was like, I feel like this is okay. But again, every day is different. So many people used to come up to me and give me advice, but I used to take little grains of salt from everybody, and I'll just put it in the blender and make up my own recipe. That's pretty much what I did. So yeah, be very open for advice or suggestions and things like that, because it can help at different stages. It might not mean anything at like 8 weeks, but it might mean something at 12 weeks. Always know your baby needs to sleep, but if you can work with your partner or friends and family, if you can work with them and say, like, they're not going down, or if someone is heaps more tired than another, then definitely work that out before you might be going into a bit of a hard night, especially if they're teething or something like that. Remember that every nap, every feed, every nappy change is keeping your baby alive. So you, every day when you do that, you are doing an amazing job. Always know that. That's also for future Jess, okay? Because going back into a newborn stage, it freaks me out a little bit, but it's okay. Look, at the end of the day, you got to take it as it comes. And yeah, again, like, I have to be open-minded about it, and the situation will be different again, because I'll have Savannah to be like, hey, can you get a nappy? So I'll have those extra little hands as well. Yeah, so anyway, I hope that this information helps. Again, this is just suggestions, so take a grain of salt from whatever I'm saying and definitely whip it up in your own blender and see what works for you, because yeah, every baby is also different as well. So I'll speak to you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a beautiful day.